What's going on, folks? It's like I'm trying to coach like my introduction. What's going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock. Today I really want to talk about something so extremely important. It seems so simple, but in this game, Street Fighter V, and most fighting games, if you don't understand this concept, it will truly hurt your ability to engage with your opponent. And because this game is so tailored towards this, if you just don't understand how knockdowns work, you will never understand why your opponent is able to hit you when you knock them down. This game is extremely important because of the input buffering, because of the delay, the 6.2 or however many. So you have to work and know things ahead of time, because existing in the moment is so much more difficult. It may seem like 1 or 2 more frames than 4 frames, which is like the usual input delay for fighting games, if I understand correctly. That it seems like it's insignificant, but it's such a big deal when you add input buffering, when you can mash and it comes out on frame 1. So anyways, hit confirming is another subject in itself, but to first, this is how I develop characters. I find ways to hit confirm, and then I look at that knockdown to see what are the ways that I can actually know for sure that I'm hitting my opponent. So for Corleen, for example, there's 2 knockdowns that I want to talk out particularly, and you can apply this concept to most any characters, and I don't want to just say that and be wrong, right? But for most, this is like a general rule that I want to know about. And throwing, for sure, you want to know. But the 2 knockdowns that I want to talk about are her Hard Punch Parabellum and the V-Skill knockdown. The reason why is because you can confirm into these. So if I do crouching jab into standing jab, from that point I can tell whether I'm hitting or my opponent's blocking my attacks, right? And then I'll confirm into Hard Punch Parabellum. You can do EX Parabellum, you can do maybe Hailstorm, but for now I just want to talk about Hard Punch Parabellum. This is one of the most, no, not meter intensive, it's just like bread and butter. This is good to do. And the other knockdown is the target combo into V-Skill. But you would hit confirm this off of the crouching strong, and then once you see that hit, you can go into medium kick, and then once you know that everything else is hitting, you can complete the target combo. You can even confirm off just the crouching strong, but just for the sake of demonstrating the principle of having a confirmable combo and then knowing the knockdown, we're just gonna say the whole thing is just one thing, right? So you have one hit confirm here, and you have another hit confirm here. So the next thing you want to do is what happens next. So often you'll see, for example, let's say I do the V-Skill knockdown. I dash up and hit standing fierce, but I get countered because my opponent is mashing a 3 frame. However, if they back recover and then I do that same thing, this is when I crush counter them, right? So what you have to understand is that the normal and back recovery, there is a difference of 5 frames. The back recovery happens later. By 5 frames. So if I do a move that's too slow to attack their normal recovery and they're able to mash, they're going to counter hit me. So what I want to do is attack what happens first, so that I'm a little bit safer against back recovery. So this game, this is one of the main, you have to guess, right? You have to guess whether they're going to do normal or back recovery. I feel like there is a point at which you can determine if they did, which one they chose, but I think you need to have longer knockdowns. But for the sake of what I'm trying to demonstrate, you have to know which one that they are doing. And it's hard to know if they're going to go normal or back recovery or no recovery. That's something we can get into later as far as setting up safe jumps with those same frame kills. So if my opponent does a normal recovery off of this V-Skill and then I hit standing jab, then I counter hit them. But if I do that same standing jab off of this back recovery, then they can actually punish my recovery of my standing jab. But this is the safest thing that I can possibly do in terms of me being punished and still creating options that could lead into other things. So, for example, if I do that same V-Skill thing and then they normal recover with their mashing jab, then I can combo off of my counter into standing medium kick and then do the same thing. So the standing jab will counter hit, and then I can confirm into another V-Skill, and then I'm still generating more V-Trigger and putting them into the same knockdown, right? So understanding that concept is extremely important. As a matter of fact, I can set this up real quick on the Oki calculator just to demonstrate exactly numerically what it is that I'm talking about. So here is the V-Skill knockdown target combo into V-Skill. You want to confirm this off of the crouching strong again. So what I'm doing is I'm frame killing with a dash. So that's going to put my dash around here, And then right here, I'm in a +2 state. I'm +2. So that's why my standing jab is counter hitting a 3-frame, because my standing jab is 4 frames, but I'm +2, so that makes me, it's as if the move is 2-frame startup. And Ibuki is doing a 3-frame, therefore, my move is faster at that point. So, but when I do this standing jab, if my opponent back recovers, now it's as if I'm -5. So you can see I recover on the 5th frame of their back recovery. So even though I'm doing one of the fastest attacks that I can possibly do, if they back recover, Ibuki can technically hit, well, any 5-frame normal that will punish my standing jab. But she can't really see that either, that I'm dashing up and hitting standing jab. So, and if she dashes, if I dash up and she back recovers, and then she does a 5-frame move, then I'll crush counter her with my standing hard punch. You know, so that's how those things kind of exchange. The exchange works together. So let's talk about that standing hard punch too. When I do the standing hard punch, it does meaty the back recovery. This is the first active frame of my standing hard punch. So you can see this is why that counter hits. But if they normal recover, she can do a 5-frame move herself, and that will counter hit me. So this is why there is certainly a guessing element to the normal and back recovery, if you're not able to see which one that they do. You absolutely have to choose one or the other, and the safest thing to do is that standing jab, because now you're -5 here, but you won't be counter hit. You'll be counter hit off of the standing hard punch if they normal recovery. So again, this is so important. If you don't understand any of this, you'll never really figure out how to deal with your opponent's habits. So if you have an opponent who's always normal recover standing jab, then you know that that this meaty setup here, if you do another standing jab, it'll counter hit them every time, and you can go for maximum damage. You can go for hit confirms. You can even do something that's not even the standing jab. If you're so sure, then you can do something like crouching strong. That will counter hit. You can do crouching strong, counter hit into standing strong. That's if you're certain, but you have to get an idea of how your opponent behaves, which could get that conversation leads into what perhaps is some of the flaws of this game. Is you just don't have enough time to collect data about your opponent and see how they behave, and then that would be another argument for doing the safer options, such as that standing jab and then your -5, etc., etc. So with Colleen, to talk about Colleen specifically, with that in mind, I think off of the target combo here, you want to do standing jab. You want to dash up and hit standing jab. That can be punished by back recovery by -5, but only it does not counter hit you, and they have to be prepared to back recover and immediately punish you. So it's difficult for your opponent to deal with this. And of course, there's always the reversal option, right? Your opponent could do either one. Even Ibuki, her reversal is EX. It's 4 frames to start up, her EX DP. 4 frames will still punish you on back recovery, and it'll work on the normal recovery just because it's invincible. So these are another reasons why it's very difficult to approach people on the knockdown situation game. It often feels a bit uninteractive, right? So the hard punch parabellum knockdown, I would suggest using the crouching jab. Now this crouching jab actually hits on the 2nd active frame for Colleen, and it carries over similar properties that if your opponent back recovers, it's harder for them to punish the whiff animation of your crouching jab and even know that you did it. So it forces them to guess one thing or the other. It forces them to back recover. If they back recover, you do benefit a little bit from them being just a little bit closer to the corner, or pushing you away from, or pushing themselves away from the corner if you're in the corner, if that makes sense. So the reason why you want this crouching jab to hit on the 2nd active frame from this hard punch parabellum is because without counter hit, this will still combo into standing medium kick. You don't need counter hit because it's hitting on the 2nd active frame, which is giving you more frame advantage. And normally this doesn't work again. So yeah, that's about it. There's a lot more to be explained with the knockdown Okizeme situation, because you want to know more if your crouching jab, for example, doesn't hit. This is +1 on block. So if I threw them and then they're mashing after my crouching jab, it's not going to be enough to actually set them up in a frame trap situation where I have a block string with my throw. But since it's hitting on the 2nd active frame, it's increasing also the block advantage by 1. So now I'm +2. So now, since I have a 3-frame window between the crouching jab and my throw, it gives me a good setup all around. So now, if I do hard punch parabellum, my opponent blocks, and then I throw off of this, As long as they block my crouching jab, the next thing will be a meaty, well, not really a meaty throw. It'll be like a frame trap throw. So all of these things have to work together. But just to give you even more like example, if I'm so far ahead of myself, if I do hard punch parabellum, and then I do crouching jab, and then my opponent back recovers, and I hit and then I throw, I'm putting myself at so much disadvantage. So now if it's a Buki, for example, she back recovers, she's mashing on crouching strong, she's going to punish my throw, she's going to activate the kunai, activate the feed trigger, activate the whole, you know, the messy stuff that happens where you get to, you know, even more and more guessing. So if you don't understand knockdowns, the game will already have this cascading failure effects that it already tends to go in that direction. So you absolutely have to know all the possibilities and understand why things are happening when they do, because it's just so easy for things to get out of control. It's very difficult to control this game. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Twitch.tv/AutoMattock. I hope you learned something. I'm AutoMattock. AutoMattock. Can't even say my own name.